Welcome back to G-Fun Facts Online. Today we are doing a deep dive into the editing room of the human mind. We are going to explore a concept that explains everything from why you walk into a room and forget what you needed, to why time seems to speed up as you get older, and why modern social media is physically exhausting your brain. It is called neural chaptering or event segmentation theory. Imagine for a moment that your life is a movie. Physically, your experience of reality is a continuous, relentless stream of sensory data. Photons are hitting your retinas, sound waves are vibrating your eardrums, and tactile sensations are constantly registering against your skin. If your brain recorded this stream exactly as it happened, your memory would be a chaotic, unsearchable blur of billions of seconds of footage. You would never be able to recall the concept of your wedding day or that trip to Paris, because those concepts wouldn't exist. There would only be the raw stream. But we know that isn't how you experience life, and it certainly isn't how you remember it. When you look back at your day, you don't see a continuous stream. You see a series of discrete clips. You woke up, you made coffee, you drove to work, you sat in the meeting. This phenomenon is not a metaphor, it is a biological reality. Deep inside your brain, a complex editing suite is working in real time, slicing the chaotic stream of reality into tidy, manageable events. It inserts invisible cut points or neural chapter breaks that determine how you learn and remember. To understand how this works, we have to look at the neuroscience of the cut. To understand how the brain segments time, you must first understand its primary job. Your brain is not a passive camera, it is a prediction machine. At every single millisecond, your brain is running a highly sophisticated simulation of what is about to happen next, based on an internal model of your current situation. Let's say you are sitting in a coffee shop. Your brain has a model for this. It predicts that the barista will hand you a cup. The smell of roasted beans will continue, and the door will open occasionally. As long as these predictions come true, your brain is in a steady state. It is recording, but it isn't saving a new file. It is essentially buffering. But then, imagine a waiter drops a tray of glasses. Crash! This sound violates your brain's prediction. The smooth simulation of a quiet coffee shop is shattered. This discrepancy between what your brain expected and what actually happened is called a prediction error. When a prediction error occurs, a specific cascade of neural activity triggers. First, there is a dopamine surge. We often associate dopamine with pleasure, but in this context, it acts as a learning signal. A spike of dopamine is released from the midbrain, specifically the ventral tegmental area, signaling to the cortex that the model is wrong and an update is needed. Then, the hippocampus, which you can think of as the brain's librarian, takes the buffer of information from the previous moment, the quiet coffee shop scene, and binds it into a cohesive memory trace. It effectively hits save and closes that file. This moment is an event boundary. The old model is flushed out of your working memory, and a new model, one representing chaos or danger, is loaded in. This entire process happens in milliseconds. Your brain has just created a chapter break. Neuroimaging studies, particularly those observing people watching movies like Sherlock or Forrest Gump, have allowed scientists to map exactly where this happens. The sensory cortex handles the micro-events, detecting things like a lip movement or a single footstep. The posterior medial network aggregates those micro-movements into meaningful narrative chunks, and the lateral prefrontal cortex acts as the director, holding the current event model in working memory. When the prefrontal cortex agrees that the scene has changed, it clears its cache, causing that momentary feeling of a blank slate. Now, this editing process isn't flat, it is hierarchical. Just as a novel has sentences, paragraphs, chapters, and parts, your brain segments experience at multiple levels simultaneously. You have fine-grained events, like typing a specific word or taking a sip of water. Then you have coarse-grained events, like writing an article. And above that, you have thematic eras, like being in your living in New York era. Research shows that people who are better at aligning their fine-grained segmentation with their coarse-grained segmentation, seeing how small steps fit into the big picture, have better memory retention and learning outcomes. They are simply better at structuring the narrative of their lives. However, this system has glitches. The most famous example is something we have all experienced: the doorway effect. You are sitting on the couch and realize you need scissors. You get up, walk into the kitchen, and freeze. You have absolutely no idea why you are there. This is neural chaptering in action. When you passed through the doorway, your brain perceived a massive change in context, a spatial boundary. This triggered an event boundary. The living room event model, which contained the instruction to get scissors, was closed and archived to long-term memory to make room for the kitchen model. The glitch is that the instruction didn't carry over to the new model. You literally have to mentally or physically go back to the previous context to reopen that file and retrieve the intention. This editing process is also influenced by our internal scripts and culture. We don't all cut reality in the same places. An expert watching a basketball game sees plays and segments the game into large, meaningful chunks, whereas a novice just sees a chaotic flurry of running and passing, segmenting the game every time the ball changes hands. Cultural differences play a role too. Studies show that American viewers tend to segment videos of everyday activities based on visual changes and action steps, while viewers from India are more likely to segment based on changes in goals or social dynamics. Our culture edits our memories before we even store them. Now we have to talk about the modern context. If the brain evolved to segment time based on physical environment and clear goal changes, the modern digital world is a nightmare scenario. We are facing a crisis of context switching and digital amnesia. In a physical environment, context changes slowly. Walking from a cave to a forest takes time. In the digital world, you switch contexts instantly. You switch from a spreadsheet, which is a work context, to Twitter, a social context, to a news site, a global horror context, in 3 seconds. Each switch forces your brain to dump its current event model and load a new one. This causes a massive metabolic cost. You are forcing your brain to create hundreds of microchapters per hour. The result is digital amnesia. Because the segments are so short, the hippocampus never has time to properly bind and consolidate them. Your day becomes a blur of fragmented, shallow memories. You feel exhausted, not because you did physical work, but because your neural editor has been working overtime. Social media feeds, specifically the doomscroll, are designed to hack this system. Platforms like TikTok and Instagram Reels present a unique paradox. Every video provides visual novelty, creating a new context, but the interface, the motion of your thumb, and the screen remain identical, creating structural sameness. This confuses the brain's prediction machine. It creates a state of continuous partial attention, where the brain is constantly getting dopamine hits from novelty, essentially prediction errors, but never getting the satisfaction of a clear event boundary or closure. You enter a zombie-like trance because you are trapped in a single, never-ending high-stimulation chapter. This is the neurological basis of what we colloquially call brain rot. It is interesting to look at how this editor changes over a lifetime. Children, for instance, are terrible at event segmentation. If you ask a 5-year-old about their day, they might list a string of unrelated events. I had toast, and then I saw a bug, and then I fell down. They lack the coarse-grained ability to group these into the concept of I went to school. As the prefrontal cortex develops, their ability to create hierarchical chapters improves. On the other end of the spectrum, as we age, our dopamine receptors decline, and our prefrontal cortex thins. This makes the prediction error signal weaker. Older adults often struggle to identify clear boundaries in new narratives, leading to run-on memories where days blend together. This loss of segmentation is a key reason why time seems to speed up as we get older. Fewer distinct chapters make the book of life feel shorter. We also see variations in the editor in conditions like PTSD and schizophrenia. PTSD can be thought of as a disorder of idiosyncratic boundaries. A loud noise, which might be a minor detail to others, triggers a massive event boundary for a PTSD sufferer, forcefully loading a trauma event model. Their brain is over-segmenting based on threat cues. In schizophrenia, patients often struggle with macro-segmentation. They see the fine details, the hand moving, the door opening, but fail to bind them into a coherent event like a person entering the room. This fragmentation contributes to the feeling that the world is disjointed. Interestingly, we are now teaching computers to do what our brains have done for millennia. In computer vision, AI models are now trained to perform video object segmentation. Early AI saw video as a stack of individual images with no concept of time. Modern AI uses memory networks that mimic the human hippocampus to track objects across frames. We have even developed bio-inspired event cameras. Traditional cameras record frames at a set speed, creating massive amounts of redundant data. Event cameras, like the human retina, remain silent as long as the prediction holds. They only fire a signal when a pixel changes intensity, allowing robots to react in microseconds. So how can we apply this science to our daily lives? Understanding neural chaptering allows us to stop fighting our brains and start working with them. First, for productivity, you need to build a context fortress. Don't just time block, context block. Group tasks that require the same event model together. Do all your creative writing in the morning and all your admin in the afternoon. If you work from home, create artificial boundaries. Put on work shoes when you sit at your desk and take them off when you are done. The physical sensation helps the brain load the correct script. For learning, use the 20-minute rule to create artificial boundaries. If you study for 3 hours straight, it becomes one long gray event, and your brain will only remember the beginning and the end. Change your environment every 40 minutes. Move from the desk to the couch. Switch from reading to writing. These forced context shifts create new event boundaries, effectively giving your brain more save points and increasing the surface area of your memory. For mental health, you need to learn to close the tabs. The commute used to be a natural event boundary between work you and home you. Remote work killed this. You must recreate it. Walk around the block before you start work and after you finish. This fake commute signals the hippocampus to close the work file. Narrative journaling can also help. If you feel overwhelmed, your brain is likely failing to segment a stressful period. Writing it down forces coarse-grained segmentation. You are turning chaos into chapters. Finally, for storytellers and marketers, understand the power of the cliffhanger. Great TV shows end episodes right before the resolution to deny the brain the event boundary or closure. This leaves the event model active in the viewer's working memory, creating a psychological itch known as the Zeigarnik effect that forces them to click next episode. Film editors even instinctively cut scenes at the exact moment an audience naturally blinks. Cutting during an action feels jarring because it creates a prediction error, while cutting after an action completes feels seamless. Time is not a clock on the wall. Time is a construct of the mind, built from the raw material of experience and edited into the story of your life. Neural chaptering is the mechanism of that authorship. By understanding how your internal editor works, you can become the director of your own experience. You can create boundaries where you need focus, smooth over the cuts where you need flow, and ultimately, write a story worth remembering. You are not just watching the movie of your life, you are in the editing room. Make the cuts count,